So this is what we were talking about is the number style or the Vancouver example. And the third one is the footnote example I have shown previously as well. So you can see it as a superscript. A number appear in a sequence order as it appears, right? And that sequence, the number will be indicated in the bottom of the page as footnote, and the full reference of full citation or the full reference will be given in there. I mean, you are familiarized with these things. Of course, again, the format will be very different from one to another, but they all will use some sort of a footnote system, right? Now, you can take a lot of examples from different versions. Now, as I mentioned before, the problem that we all have is, since there are so many different bibliographic styles, but the important thing, they all depend on one of that three basic styles. I mean, they are derivatives of that basic format. So that is the important thing, though there are some minor changes, right? Right. There are more than 3,000, actually, even more than that. So, I mean, even different institutes will have different. So, you need theoretically maybe tens and thousands of styles. As you can see, the MLA is the Modern Language Association, their format, and the APA is American Psychological Association. Pretty comprehensive sort of a reference style, well documented. I think now it has the 6th version. Then they have the Chicago IE and CSE. CSE is usually used in the natural sciences. It's the science educators sort of a group. They have their own format, right? So anyway, now which style to be used, that is the question that I am getting in many of this kind of sessions. So which style should we use? Everybody asking for me on that. Now that is the problem. I mean, even for me, we can't give a direct answer for that one, right? So you have to first check with your institute if you are doing your postgraduate, and the best thing to ask from your supervisors, and especially from your institute where you have registered for. And if it is a journal or publication, then you have to check with the publication. I mean, under the instructions for authors in the publication, they are clearly mentioned which style to be used. If it is the postgraduate degree, in their postgraduate faculty will be highlighted which format to be used. So that's where you have to look at which format to be used. So if the bibliographic styles is not highlighted, if they haven't mentioned which style to be used, then you can use your own style, or I mean not your own style, but your preferred style. And the most important thing here, be consistent, right? You can use your style, but the important thing, you have to be consistent, and you can't go around in different styles. And if you follow the same style, then you can go with, if they have not highlighted which style to be used, right? So that is important. Now, to understand the which format or which to be used, actually, then we have to go to your postgraduate institutes or the faculty or their websites. A student handbook or the prospectus will mention about the styles. As far as I know, in many institutes, it's not like they are not exactly telling what to do, because you know, in the graduate faculty you have people coming from very different disciplines, which they use different reference styles, and because of that they will give different versions for you to follow, right? I will show you the FGS at USJ. They have given, I don't know if they have changed very recently, but they have given some sort of a flexibility of selecting a reference style. I'll come to that one later, but here I have given some examples like where to get or look for information. I mean, you already know where to get the information since you are already involved in the research, but best place to look at is your library. If you are registered in institute, you go for your library, because they might have a lot of subscriptions to the databases, right? As you can see, this is the example from USJ. Their library, USJ library, they have subscribed to some of the online sources, some databases, as well as a journal. So where some of that information will be free that you can download, for example, JSTOR. So these any articles in that journals or database, JSTOR is a database, you can download. If you have institute has subscribed, JSTOR actually has like a free subscription to some of the developing countries. Other than that, Emerald or other databases might be subscribed. So better you go to your library and check. Some of the databases may be free if you are accessing from the university, but if you are accessing from the outside, you might need to use a username, password, and you check with your library this information. But other than that, one of the other sources for information or the publications, actually the ResearchGate and the Google Scholar. I know almost all you might be knowing these things, but if you are a postgraduate student, if you are already registered, or even you are planning to register, I advise that you have a profile in your ResearchGate or even the Google Scholar. Even if you don't have any publication so far, but still you can have a profile listed in a ResearchGate or the Google Scholar, then with your research interest, and then these site, they will provide a lot of recent publication, something related to your search habits. You know, when you search for something and related to that search, then they will provide us some suggestions, which is very important, especially in this stage, because you cannot go through all the different databases. You don't have time or you don't have access to these things, but at least they will suggest recent or more appropriate publications for you. So you have to look into this and also have a profile in ResearchGate as well as in the Google Scholar. So I have given the examples here for my own profiles in there. And from that, let's move on to one of the important thing in our discussion about the software that can be used to do your bibliographies or the references. There are dozens of software. Some are free, some are there is a cost, but some are extremely expensive. But all depend on what you are looking at, and then and you are in what level, and then what kind of access you have. So if you are a graduate or you are registered in the USJ, actually the FGS has some volume license for 30, I think, where if you are at university, if they use the IT facility in the FGS, you can use the EndNote software. But But of course it is expensive if you are purchasing it. I think somewhere $129 or no, $250 or something. But student version 125 around, so it's very right. If you convert it into rupees, it's a huge amount of money. But there are free options. For example, Zotero, it's very good actually software. There is a standalone app, whereas even online version, so you can use it online. Even if you can use it offline as well. So Zotero you can use. And the other one is the Mendeley, now becoming very popular in some of the students because it's fully free, and then it's developed by the Elsevier, right? So it's fully free, and it has standalone software where you can download and you can use it. And even like there is some link to, like, if you can install the links in your browser, and then directly download into Mendeley from the whatever the search engine you are using. I mean, if you are looking for even the Google Scholar or the ResearchGate or any other databases, you can directly download that references into your software, right? So the other thing is the EndNote, as I mentioned. So here I have shown you the Zotero. This is actually a bit of early version, but there is a later versions where you can install, and it is, you can do many things with the Zotero. And the others good example is from the Mendeley. Actually, it's not that far. I think it's developed in last 4 or 5 years, if I remember. At least I know about this about 4 or 5 years back. Maybe it's a bit older, but so Mendeley desktop, you can download the Windows version. As I mentioned, it's fully free, and then you can have all your references, all your bibliography downloaded into the software. And not only that, even you can have if you have the PDF of the publications, whatever you're going to cite, so you can organize everything in this software. And when you are writing, you can use this for the writing, as well as you can make a reference list from that as well, right? So of course the Mendeley is not like it's still in the developing state, but you can do a pretty decent work using Mendeley as well, right? And still some of you using even Microsoft Word has its own reference database management system under the reference tab. Some students still use that one as well, and they're almost not really like, the capabilities are limited, not like the EndNote, but still you can use, if there is no other option, you still can use Word, and then that makes things easier. But at least you can use the Mendeley or the Zotero, but there may be other software where you can use.
EndNote
Right.
is software that helps you manage your references and generate citations.
Let me share a small video.
And bibliographies in a range of software that helps you manage your references and generate citations and bibliographies in a range of styles. In this video, we will explain how to set up an EndNote library with references, and then we will explain how to use these references in a Word document. Before you can use EndNote to produce a bibliography, you need to import the necessary information into an EndNote database of references. This is called an EndNote library. There are several ways of doing this. We are now going to show you how to import PDFs you have previously downloaded, and then how to import references from a journal database. The PDF import option allows you to convert PDF articles you've previously added to your computer drive into EndNote references. To use this feature, you need to be connected to the internet, so EndNote can extract the digital object identifier, also known as the DOI, from the PDF file and then match that information with data available online. The bibliographic content is then captured and used to create a new EndNote reference. Scanned PDFs will not have this information, and so for scanned PDFs you will need to manually populate bibliographic information fields. To import PDFs, first open your library in EndNote and go to the File menu and select Import. Choose File if you wish to import one PDF, or choose Folder if you would like to import a folder of PDFs. In this example, I will import a folder of PDFs from my desktop. I need to select the Choose button and browse to locate the folder. I select the folder and select the OK button, then select the Import button to start the import. After the import has completed, you will see the references in a temporary group called Imported References. For references where EndNote was not able to download bibliographic content, a record is created with the PDF attached showing the name of the PDF file in the title field. You can easily manage your PDFs using EndNote's PDF Viewer. This allows you to read PDFs, highlight text, and you can add sticky notes to the PDF, the content of which can be searched for later on. Another method of importing references is through direct export from a journal database. I'm going to import some references from PubMed as an example, but this method can be used with many other online databases. I'm using Firefox for this example because it supports direct export on both the Windows and Macintosh platforms. Internet Explorer is another good option. To begin, perform your search of the online database and select the references you want to import. For PubMed, mark the references to select them. Click the Send To link, then select Citation Manager. Different databases will have different ways of selecting references and preparing them for export. So this link may be called something different by other data providers. It could be called Direct Export or Export to Citation Manager.
Okay, actually, I'm not trying to go through this video. I just want to show you the capability. So if you haven't used the this kind of a standalone software, then just to show you the capabilities, virtually you can do everything from the EndNote software. If you don't have any database, if you just have the PDF, you just can download the PDF and it will create even the list of references for you. If it is if it has the DOI, and you can download all the reference information from the databases as shown from that one. Even in the Google Scholar or even the ResearchGate publication, if you search there and then while searching or while downloading your paper, you can download the reference as well, full reference to that one, which you can keep in a well organized way. But not only that, even you can use the EndNote to search the web for publications. If your university or the institute has subscribed to the lot of journals, then you can use even the EndNote to search from itself. It has a search engine, and more importantly, so it has a link with the Microsoft Word, and it has a function called cite while write. And while you are writing, you can import the references directly into the Word. And not only that while you are inserting the references, it will create the references automatically, so you don't have to do anything. And if you want to change the style, it's just a mouse click, so everything will be changed, right? So that's simple if you are using software. But if you have time, we'll see just to show some examples. But before that, as I mentioned before the FGS at USJ. So they have, this is how they have highlighted what reference format to be used. So it can be anything like here, either the American Psychology, APA, Harvard or Vancouver. And it has also even highlighted in an annex. I'm not too sure this is the final version, but I hope this is effect from 2017, I think. But anyway, you can check in your prospectus, right? So even they have given examples for the Vancouver type, right? Which means the Harvard style examples are given, even the APA. So that means you have some flexibility to choose which style to be used, and it's all you can discuss with your supervisors. You can go ahead, right? And better you check with the FGS as well, especially from your board, particular board that you are registered, then they will also guide sometimes, right? All right. Now, we'll come to some of the examples if time permits, but before that, there are a few things that we need to, I need to highlight. For example, here, the difference, like when the in-text citation is part of a sentence, right? The in-text citation is part of a sentence, and when the in-text citation at the end, I think we have seen this one before. There was a question also about this. And you see the difference here when at the end of a paragraph, then it's, you have to use it in within parentheses, and the last name of the first author or the author's names, the comma, the space, and the year of publication, and close the parentheses, right? And keep in mind, you know, you have to follow exactly the same format if you are using, this is the APA style, or it depends on the style, but you know, parentheses here, there's no space, and comma, between the author name and the comma, there's no space, and there is a space between the comma and the year, and after year there is no space. You know, you have to follow these things. And when we are reviewing theses and papers, we see that students using different versions, they freely use then the spaces and commas. It's find really difficult. No, we have to correct each and every even space. If you are, like, you know, reviewing the papers and thesis, that a lot of work for us as reviewers. You know, you can just easily get rid of these things if you are following the correct format, right? So now, if the in-text citation is part of a sentence, like if you are taking it as part of the sentence, you can see, you know, now the author's name taken out of the parenthesis, and there is a space within parenthesis, you put the year of publication and close, right? So that difference is there. And previously there was a question how to do this difference in when we are doing the software, and that can be done in the output style, but not easy in most of the software, but it's all depend, right? Okay. Now the difference, like if there are more than one author, or if there is more than 3 authors, in many cases, for example, in the APA style, when there's 2 authors, definitely you use the first author's last name and the second author's last name, and follow this format, right? When there is 3 authors, still follow the same, right? But in the APA style, again, you know, there are differences between the formats, but in the APA style, you can use, if there is more than 3 authors, you can use the first author's last name followed by et al, right? Et al, that means in in the Latin word and the others, right? So, and even here you see the et al is italic here, and sometimes after et al you have the full stop, but some you don't have to. So all depend on the style that you are using, right? But I think that the recent version of APA style, still they're asking for if more than 5 names, you have to use the et al. But the early versions, it's just 3, right? So this is an example, et al., how to use the et al. And then you have to use italic, but if they ask to, but sometimes in some formats, they don't use the italic, right? It's all depend again. Right. More than right. The other thing, even if you use this abbreviated form, like et al. In this in-text citation, but you have to make sure that you get all the names in the reference list, right? You cannot have the et al. In the reference list, right? Now, this is another example, maybe a bit confusing for many, right? And also something that you need to know, like if you are writing your thesis or you are writing a paper or any article, I mean, you have to read your own, right? You cannot, cite unless you have read it. And if you are read it, you need to have that copy of that citation, right? It may be a soft or hard copies, right? But there may be some cases. I have given example here. According to Brown's 2015 study, middle managers feel more stressed than those in higher positions, right? Now, this is because this actually this statement by the Browns, right, in 2015, but actually you don't have the publication from Brown, but you read it from this Gray. Now you are reading the Gray's publication, or maybe a book in this case, right? And you read about the Brown in this Gray's work, right? So in this case, who you are referring to, that is very important, because you are reading Gray, but actually this idea is from Brown's publication. Now in this case, how we are going to cite? So this is very important. So that is where, because you don't have the Brown's publication, you are referring to actually the Gray, but this is how we are writing it in the APA style. Brown 2015, cited in Gray 2016, cited in Gray, because you are reading the Gray. But the most important thing here, in this case, your reference, the full reference goes to Gray, not to Brown, because you don't have the Brown's work, right? So keep in mind that one if you have any chance to go this kind of a situation, right? And another thing is about personal communications. Whether we can cite personal communication, right? So this personal communication, of course, you can't cite personal communications from anyone, but someone, unique person, some well-known person, well-known figure in particular field, a statement by one of them, or any telephone conversation with one of the well-known person or interview, then still you can cite, right? It's called the personal communications, right? And this is how the personal communications are written in APA style, right? The author, right? The name is given here, or the scientist. You don't have to, you have just give the name, and you have to mention in the within parentheses the personal communication, and you have to give even the date where you had the conversation with, or telephone or whatever. And you can say whatever the person said here. Now, the most important here, it's only in-text citation, right? It is only going to be an in-text citation. There won't be any reference list. Then this is not going to the reference list, because no one can trace it. I mean, you put it in the reference for someone to trace. If you can't trace it, there's no use of it. So it's not going to the reference list, right? Right. The other thing is anonymous. This is another something confusing for some of us, where and how to use this anonymous term, right? The anonymous is used when you cannot identify the author, right? Unidentified author. So instead of the first authors or the author's last name, you use the term anonymous, and you follow the rest of the reference same as the others. Just the difference is the term anonymous, right? And where you cannot identify the name, the author, or if the author's name is right, you cannot that book says the author's name is not known, right? Now there are some cases, if if it may be internet source or something, the author's name is not there, right? And that case, actually you don't have to give the anonymous, because this is a bit confusing for many. Some of even our some of our historical writings, right? Sometimes you call the katru anyata, they don't know, and we don't have any idea about the author. And that case you use the anonymous. But in some web sources, and it's not really, there is no author, because in this case it's pretty sure there is no author, that identifiable author is not there, then that's where you use the anonymous. But in the maybe internet, that there is no, it is not that there is no author, but you cannot find that author. So that case, it's better not to use the term anonymous. Rather, you use the abbreviated version of the title sometimes, or in many cases, at least use the like if it is the organization name, like if it is a FAO publication or a FAO website, you just give the FAO instead of using anonymous, right? And I have given example here. If it is a Sri Lanka Port Authority, then you just, instead of an author's name, use the institute's name, right? So keeping that in mind, so many, like, they put the anonymous term in this case, but in nowadays, actually not many people using the term anonymous. Rather, they use the abbreviated version of the or institute's name, or the abbreviated version of the title, or the part of the title even you can use instead of the term anonymous, right? And again, the list of references, what terms to be used, whether it is works cited or references, all depend on the format used, whether you are going to make it bold or italic or underline. So all depend on the format, right? You cannot use it the way you wanted, right? If it is APA style, they have clearly mentioned it has to be centered, not to be bold, right? Not italicized, right? Not underlined, right? You might use the title different font sizes, but even the font size is same, if it is APA style. You cannot change these things, you have to follow, right? So that is important. And sometimes you have to use this kind of a left indentation if it is APA, but all depend again on the style that you are going to use, right? So I will take one example from APA style. Just quickly go to, instead of, we don't have time to give a lot of examples. I'll show you a small video just to give idea about the how to use APA style in for different sources, right?
Hi, my name is Johnny and I'm a student at the University of Derby. One of the areas that a lot of new students can struggle with is referencing. I'm going to talk you through a commonly used style known as Harvard referencing. When you're writing a piece of academic work, you'll be researching and reading a lot of work done by others to help you formulate your ideas and arguments. You need to acknowledge where you found the information, not only because it is fair to give credit to the person whose hard work you're using, but also to avoid plagiarism. When using the Harvard referencing system, there are two stages to highlighting other people's work in your own: citing and referencing. Citing, or a citation, is what you do in the text of your essay, where you highlight words and ideas you've incorporated from somebody else's work. Referencing is where you put all the details of the source of the information that you've used at the end of your work in a separate section. The way that you use citation in your work depends on whether you're using a direct word-for-word quote from another piece of work, or if you're putting someone else's ideas into your own words. If you're copying a statement word for word, you need to put quotation marks around it. If you're writing someone else's ideas in your own words, then you don't need to use quotation marks. For both direct quotes and putting somebody else's work into your own words, you need to then indicate the source of the information, in brackets, at the end. These details are there to lead the reader to the full information at the back of the document. A citation only includes a maximum of 3 pieces of information. If you're copying a direct quote, this will be the author's surname, the year the source was published, and the page number. If it's not a direct quote, you should include the author and the year the source was published. The reference section of your work should include all the information about the source of a statement that you've used in your essay. Each separate source of information should always start with the same information as the citation in your essay, so the source material details can be easily found. You should then organise each source alphabetically by the author. If for any reason there is no author, you should use the title of the source instead. Under the Harvard system, the order you present the information for each of your sources has to be done in a particular way. If you got your information from a book, then you need to write down the following: the author or editor, the year of publication in round brackets, the title in italics, bold or underlined, the edition if it is not the first edition, the place of publication and the publisher, the series and volume number where relevant. If you used information from an e-book in your work, then you need to write down the following: the author or editor, the year of publication in round brackets, the title in italics, bold or underlined, name of the e-book collection in italics, bold or underlined, the phrase online in square brackets, the words available at followed by the URL of the e-book, the word accessed followed by the date you accessed the information in brackets. If you used information from a journal in your work, then you need to write down the following: the author, the year of publication in round brackets, the title of the article in single quotation marks, the title of the journal in italics, bold or underlined, and the volume, issue and page numbers. If you used information from an online journal in your work, then you need to write down the following: the author.
Right, just to save some time, actually I use this video since the time is limited, but you see how much information you have to look into if you are using any particular style. You just need to go through a lot of details. I mean, based on the source, whether it's a book or journal, there are specific things that you have to look into. That is the most important thing. And even the first author last name and comma, and then whether to have the full name, or in many cases they are suggested to have only initials. Only the last name is there, and then the initial. That's all. Everything depend on the formats that you're going to follow, right? So that's very important. Right. So let's move on. Since we have already come to the end, and if you can give me 5 minutes, since we have lost some time, right? There's one thing that I forgot to mention, that is about the when there is more than one publication from the same authors for the particular year, then right, how to put that one, right? When there's more than one, I think I should have one example here. Sorry. Which one? Here, the same authors, that more than one publication on the same year, then you have to use simple letter to highlight one and another letter to the other one, like in this case in the alphabetic again. Still you have to think of, take the alphabetic order at the title to see which one to give the A and B. So you see the same author, same year, then it will be confusing for the reader which one you are referring to. Then you have to put A and B in that respective reference, right? So that's actually what I wanted to cover in the presentation, and from that, let's move to the software. And this is the EndNote software. This is EndNote X9. Actually, now they have the, I think, 20th version. So this is the it's coming. So this is the basic look of EndNote software. I think it will take some time for you to focus. Anyway, so theoretically, you can organize all your thesis, articles, everything into a single file. That's the important thing with the EndNote. Virtually, you need to have only one file that you can have up to 100,000 reference or the records, which you can have it in under one file name. As you can see here, I have more than 730 in this file, and that they are organized for many different subject discipline or for many papers. You can have them, but they are all in one record. Actually, when you all references, you can see everything, and you can see, you can have a preview of the the citation or the reference, and that's depend on what format you have selected. You see, I think it's not properly formatted in the, oh sorry, it's not resolution. There is a issue in the, I don't know, in my tab at least. But anyway, in this here you can select the output style. There are few suggestions here, but still select many. I mean, in the virtually there are thousands of styles that you can download from the EndNote's website, and you can have the PDF. You know, if it is paper, you can have the full right PDF version here. Right. The other thing is you see the output style. You can see you can customize here. Right. Either you can select one of those built in, or you can make a new style. That's where possibilities for you have to customize. You know, if you want to like arrange it in the FGS format, then you can make a new style, or you can make that style based on existing one, or you can change a little bit, like, you know, if the journal article name has to be italic, if the style that you are using is not italic, then you can change that in that new style. You can change. That means you can do a little bit customization. So that's the whole idea of and as I mentioned, you can search in the internet, online even sources for the, I mean, if you have the legal version, I mean, if it is not the cracked version, legal version, where you can search for the, even online, you'll even can connect to your library. Right? You can do many things with the EndNote if you are using. The other thing is the integration with the Microsoft Word. You can integrate this with the Microsoft Word. You see, if we want to import one of the publication to your writing, we'll take, for example, this one. So if you want to take this one to the Microsoft Word, hope it will work. You know, when you type something and you want to import a citation, you can see the EndNote tab is already here. There is a tab that you can see in the Microsoft Word, right? Insert citation. Either you can search or insert selected. You see, now I have used the numbered style, and that's where I get this number. So if you select APS style, you can see the citation is already formatted here the way wanted, right? And if you want more publications to be inserted, right, either you can insert, right, from here you can even search from the name, right, or otherwise you can go to EndNote and then select it here and insert the selected. You can see as you go, as you write, the references list will be automatically prepared. The important thing here that if you delete a part of the writing, right, you see the reference is automatically deleted, right? So it's become so easy, it will less troublesome. So if you are using this software for your writing, right, it's so much easy. And if the the reviewers or the graduate faculty to ask you to use a different format. It's a matter of selecting a format here, and you can see everything will be formatted accordingly with just one mouse click. Right. So I hope you can go through these things and then learn a little bit more on software. Even you can use some free software to do this job, right? And let me some of the things, as I mentioned before, if you are using even the Google Scholar, if you are using Google Scholar, now you see, so this is from my profile. If you want to download this reference, right, you see this one here. If you want, I mean, if you have the software with you, I mean, you don't have to type anything. You can go either directly to the original source. You see, this is where the publication is already an original, so that's it. Directly go to the DOI, and you can see you can add to Mendeley directly. You can add from here to the Mendeley. So that's so easy. Otherwise, you can go here the site, and then it will show you where you which software you want to download. I think I'm not sure whether you can visible it is in my tablet. Actually, it's a bit not clear. I think it takes some time. I think. Okay. You see, save to ref work, or that's reference works. Export citation to RIS, BibTeX, or export citation text. RIS is the standard format actually used by the EndNote software. Right? Anything you export to RIS format, you can directly get it into the EndNote software. We will do example. You see, already downloaded, and if you click on that one, and it's already downloaded to the EndNote software. Right, where it is now. Right, so so that it is that easy. And the other thing, if you use the Google Scholar, there is something small change that you have to do. That is in the here in your Google, or in the Google profile, there is 3 lines here, and below that, if you click on that one, there is a tab called settings. On the settings, you can see there are some customization, and the bottom one, Bibliographic Manager, and there you have to select show links to import citation into a particular software. You can select, EndNote, Reference Manager, RefWorks, or even BibTeX. I have mentioned it as the EndNote. So you have to save it. Now, if you go to your profile, sorry, in your library, right? When you are searching actually in the Google Scholar, you search for something, right? You see, now I have searched for a publication, and you import into EndNote, right? You can see there is a small tab here, import into EndNote. So that is, in order to get this one, you have to do the settings here. In the settings, you have to make it the EndNote, or whatever the software that you use, but not all software that support this. If that supports, you have a direct link here. Right? Even from the ResearchGate, you can do you can import the reference directly into your software, right? So that's how you can do some customization with your using your software. I still have a, okay, let me go out of this one. And actually there is a, give me another 1 minute and then I have another a small survey. If you can provide the this information I need, right? Please follow this link and then provide me the information, what kind of software you're using. Just for my information, actually, I can share. If it is asking for a code again, this is the code. Oh, I hope you can see, right? Okay. Let me share that screen now. Now I'm sharing my desktop screen. So you can see I think majority is using Mendeley and some use the Word as well. Zotero, some of you. And good to see some of you using EndNote as well. And few of the others also using a different software, right? Still you can provide your feedback to this question. But meantime, so that's all that we have the time for. Actually, we're going a little bit far. And then I'll stop by here. If you have any 1 or 2 questions, and now it is time for that. Anyway, thank you so much for joining, and I hope you got something out of course, we have very limited time. Of course, we need at least a half a day to go through this software. That's why I use these videos, and just to make it to do it in a short period of time, right? If you open so many windows, it's very difficult to run in the Zoom. It's already right. I got a question: which software better to use for referencing? Well, if you have the money, or if you have access the EndNote, I'm not doing any commercial thing here. I'm not getting anything out of EndNote. But something I'm used to is the EndNote. University also, FGS has some subscription. Anyway, the EndNote is sort of a standard or more commercial standard for referencing. So if you have any chance of accessing EndNote, you can do many things with EndNote because it is well done software. Actually, you can do pretty much everything with EndNote. But if it is not, even Zotero or Mendeley, in this case, I think the Mendeley is now becoming popular in among many. Now, I'll come this way. I mean, at least use one of them, right? It doesn't matter which one, but at least use one of those, you know. So I'm an example. So when I did my undergraduate, as I mentioned before, even as for undergraduate degree, I used some software at that time. There was only very few, and I'm always encouraging for you to use some sort of a software. But that makes things very easy, and that make very professional, very scholarly. Otherwise, you know, we as reviewers, we see how difficult for us to go through the references. There's so many different formatting, and the thing is, we have to correct them. At least we have to say this reference is wrong, you have to use different format, and we have to go through each and every reference, which are really a pain for the reviewers. And even it can be get rejected, you know, if you are not following the proper format, and then your publication will get rejected. And why you do it, and where there is free software to do these things, at least there are free software to do this. And so please do follow these things, right? Anything else? I don't see any question. So if there is no any question, so since we have already passed, let's conclude here. Thank you so much, and all the best to you with your academic work. Hope we can see somewhere in some time. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome. I think mama end කරන්නද මේක ඕ මම ලීව් වෙන්නද